Evil Koopa and his troopers are up to misbehaving. They kidnap the Princess Mushroom Land, needs saving. Abusing and confusing, everybody discovers they can't help but be hooked on the brothers.
For the longest time, I didn't think the Mario franchise was expanded into the media like that. I assumed that he only had games and was the mascot for Nintendo, and that was about it. But I always asked myself why he didn't have his own anime, show, or a movie. Keep in mind that I was born in the early 2000s, so I was completely unaware of the stuff Mario had in the 90s. The Pokemon anime, Sonic X, and Kirby Right Back at Ya were the only video game shows I was aware of seeing back in the day. And as a diehard fan of the Super Mario franchise, it felt weird that I couldn't find anything close to that growing up. But one day, on the early morning of Christmas actually, I saw a teaser trailer that shocked me when I was watching Sonic Underground for the first time. It was the opening of the adventure of Super Mario Bros. 3. Everything about that opening was so cool to me, as everything seemed chaotic but fun to watch at the same time. A part of me knew at the time I was going to enjoy it if I had it. It was right around then I ran towards my mother's room and asked her to order me The Adventure of Super Mario Bros. 3. And sure enough she did, but not exactly what I had in mind. It wasn't just The Adventure of Super Mario Bros. 3, in fact all of the cartoons were included. Super Show, Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario World all in one DVD. It was quite a time to be alive for a huge Mario fan like me. And while all of these shows were fine, the Super Mario Bros. Super Show managed to be one of the best cartoons to ever come out within the trilogy. What I recalled fondly of the show was how it was able to keep me entertained with its humor, action, and overall adventure within the world they're in.
There's only one king of Camelot, and who is that?
Can you give me a hint?
He's sitting right here on this throne!
Well, gee, maybe you better get off him.
Now this show isn't completely accurate to the first two games, but it somehow makes us believe that the world they are in is still very Mario-like, due to the amount of characters and items they include in the episodes. What I liked a lot in this show was that it took a lot of ideas from other franchises to make their own little stories. I found it pretty fun to watch movies or shows I grew up watching being parodied with Mario characters. One of my favorite episodes to come from the show was titled King Mario of Camelot. I guess one of the reasons I liked this episode was because it took a lot of inspiration from the medieval times. I don't know much about the actual story behind the Middle Ages, but as a kid, I found knights, swords, and castles to be cool. And when other franchises made their own spin on the stories, they always managed to land a soft place in my heart. This episode is one of them. To keep it brief, Bowser, or King Koopa in this series, manages to take over Camelot after the king had passed on. So Mario and company must find a way to stop him and free the people of Camelot. Along the way, they run into Mervyn the Magician, who instructs them on how to drive Bowser away. In the midst of their journey, they manage to find their version of Excalibur, which helps them to defeat Bowser and save the people of Camelot. After Bowser's defeat, Mario is crowned king, but after he's told that a king needs to be in shape, he reconsiders and runs away towards his next adventure. So yeah, it's pretty wacky, but that's kinda how the Mario franchise is if you really think about it. If you have seen the Mario movie, I recommend that you give the show in particular a watch, since the movie makes plenty of references around it. On top of that, I think you'll be pretty entertained by the show overall.
Chegar